Okay, and we are live. One second. There we go. Make sure we're live on... Yep. Okay. We're live. Yay, we did it. A little bit late. 5 minutes late, but no harm done. We're here now. That's the main thing. And we're back for more Trucking Tuesday. Exciting times. Okay, so... Hello everyone, how are you doing? Welcome back to Trucking Tuesday. Hope you're doing well. We've got quite a stream in store today. I'm glad to be back in Euro Truck. It's been a while. It has been a while. The last 2 Euro Truck streams ended up getting cancelled at the last minute, so it's been, I think, more than a month since we last actually played. But I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to diving in today. We are now in version 1.56, and I'll talk more about that once we dive in. But things are looking very different. The mod list is different, the game version is different, the DLC is different. We got some new bits and pieces of DLC as well, so I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good one. As always, we'll give it a minute for people to join before we dive in. And apologies for starting a little bit late today, but like I say, we're here now. That's the main thing. If you joined me yesterday for the Lego building stream, thank you very much. And as you can see, the Game Boy is now up on the shelf there. It's really good, really nice set. I'll be doing a review video of that soon. But yeah, thanks everyone who joined me yesterday for that. And I guess we'll get started. I guess we'll go ahead and dive in. So, continue career. Okay, here we go. So the mod list is... The mod list has been... What's the word? Shrunk. There's a fancier word for that, but truncated. That's the word I was looking for. The mod list has been truncated. We've reduced the mod count from 198 to 38. I've gotten rid of 160 mods. The reason being that we've upgraded to version 1.56 and a lot of the mods weren't compatible. So I thought, you know, this would be a good opportunity for me to just cut out some of those mods that were bloating the mod list a little bit. That were causing a lot of performance issues, a lot of crashes and stuff like that, a lot of conflicts. I thought, you know what, we'll upgrade to version 1.56, I'll get rid of all the mods, start again, and put together a much shorter list. So we've only got about 40 mods now, pro mods and a couple of Steam Workshop items, which should help the performance of the game quite significantly, and it should make the load times a lot better as well. Here we go. Hi Dagger, by the way, how are you doing today? Okay, so it has improved the load times, but not that much. Hi Marika, how are you doing? Hey Elizabeth, how are you? Oh, we're in. Okay, so that has actually improved the load time quite a lot. So we're back. We are currently back at our main garage in Craiova in Romania. Once again, the mod list has been completely rewritten. We've gotten rid of quite a lot of map mods, so we can't go to Africa anymore. We can't go to Asia, Australia, Antarctica, or anything like that. We're just focused on Europe from this point forward, and if we have a quick look at the map, you'll see we got a much smaller and more respectable map here. So we do have pro mods, as well as Pro Mods Middle East and Pro Mods The Great Steppe, so we can go to a few slightly more distant places, but mostly we're going to focus in on Europe from now on. Like I say, the mod list has been reduced from 198 to just 38, so most of the map mods are gone. We've just got pro mods, as well as a few Steam Workshop items. All the usual stuff, realistic graphics, realistic weather, traffic density, stuff like that. And obviously we've still got all our cab accessories, we've still got Ginger there on the dashboard, we've still got our pride flag, and I've even managed to get my vanity plate back, which was missing for quite a while. That's back on the front of the cab there, which is very good. But anyway, let's dive in. Hi Matt, how are you doing? We are now using the Schwarzmuller low loader. The reason I'm using the low loader is because SCS Software have released 2 recent DLCs. They have released a generic farm machinery DLC, and they've also just yesterday released a crone equipment DLC. So we got 2 new cargo DLCs, and they're all like big pieces of farm machinery. So what I want to do is we're going to take the low loader out, and we're going to see if we can get some jobs with this new equipment. So might as well check the map first and actually get a job before we go any further. Will it not be as glitchy now that you got rid of a lot of the mods? Hopefully, Elizabeth. That is definitely one of the big advantages to trimming down the mod list, because the mods caused a lot of problems. There were a lot of conflicts, there were a lot of missing roads, there were a lot of crashes, and obviously there was quite a big hit on the frame rate as well. Now that we've cut things down, the game should run a lot smoother. I've even turned the graphics back up to Ultra, and hopefully we can keep them at Ultra without too much issue. Okay, let's get our first job of the day. Now, I want to try and stick with shorter jobs today, because I want to try and, you know, see some of these new cargo types. I want to do as many jobs as we can. So we'll start with some short ones. For example, here, there's a telescopic handler, JCB 540. From Cryover to Potesti. That seems like a good job to start with. Let's make that our first job of the day. We're not using the eye tracker, by the way, this time. We're back to using the thumbsticks to look around. I like the eye tracker, and I think the eye tracker is a fun novelty, but it just is more of a distraction when I'm streaming. I feel like we're better off without it for the live streams. I might still use it in my free time when I play the game, but I think for the live streams, it's too distracting. I'd rather just stick with the thumbsticks to look around. Do you play this off live, or do you only play it while on live? I do play offline. I play this game quite a lot, not only when I'm streaming, but, you know, in my free time as well. Thanks for following, Calzetti. What was your inspiration for the name Ashbridge Industries, said Jack? So Ashbridge is my surname, Jack. And when I was at university, I used the name Ashbridge Industries for like projects that I worked on. I did game development, so whenever I made like prototype games and stuff like that, I would always use Ashbridge Industries as like my developer name. And it just kind of stuck, and I've always just been in the habit of using it whenever I do any like official stuff on the internet. So I decided to use it for my TikTok. What's your favourite game, says Matt? My favourite game of all time, Matt, is Oddworld Abe's Exodus for the PS1. It's from 1998. It was the first video game I ever played, and we did play it on stream last year. We just got done finishing New and Tasty last week, and we'll soon be playing Oddworld Soulstorm as well, the newest game in the series. But I've always been a very big fan of the Oddworld series, has a very, very special place in my heart, and they are all-round good games as well. Oh, also, my horn works again now. So, if you've been watching if you've been watching my Trucking Tuesday streams for a while, the horn was broken. It just wouldn't let me sound the horn for the longest time. I think it was a mod conflict. I think there was some mods that was just disabling my ability to use the horn. But it's back now. I can honk the horn to my heart's content, which is great. What made you get into gaming, says Elizabeth, or wanting to get the setup you have now? I've always been interested in gaming. Like I say, my earliest gaming memory was playing Abe's Exodus on the PS1 at my aunt and uncle's house. But I've always been really interested in video games, not only in playing them but making them as well. Thanks for following on Twitch, by the way, boy Gim John. How are you doing? But yeah, I've always been into video games, not just playing but making as well. And obviously, I ended up going to university to study game design. Fix the camera. Oh, the camera's lagging. Okay, sorry about that. Looks like we might have to turn the graphics down then if it stays lagging. But this setup here, I really started to build in 2022. That was when I got the steering wheel, which was like the main component of my current sim setup. And then everything else I've just sort of collected over the last couple of years. The camera's lagging. Yeah, I'm going to turn the graphics down in just a second. There we go. Okay. I had a feeling it might happen, but it's okay. It's okay. We can turn them down to high. As long as we don't have to go down to medium. When I was playing with all those mods, we had to have the graphics all the way down on medium, and it still had performance issues. Hopefully, now that we've not got as many mods, we should be able to manage with the graphics on high. Shame we can't have them on ultra, but it is what it is. Okay, I don't think I've given myself enough space to reverse there. Oh, maybe. It looks close. No, I think we're about to hit that tank. I don't wanna hit that tanker. I'm gonna try and do all the driving in cab view this time, because I like it. I think it's more realistic if you try and stick with the inside camera as much as possible. But obviously, when you're reversing into tight corners and stuff, it's very tempting to just switch to the outside camera. But for this one, let's try and keep it realistic. Let's try and stick to the internal camera. There we go. Can you drive in real life? I can't, Elizabeth, no. I can't drive in real life. I only got my provisional license a few weeks ago. It's the first time I've ever had one, but I don't really want to drive. I only really got it so that I could have some form of ID while I'm waiting for my new passport. But yeah, I've never really wanted to drive in real life. It's very fun to drive in video games, don't get me wrong. But I just can't see myself doing it in real life. I just don't really want to do it, to be honest. The thing is, there's such a huge difference between driving in a video game and driving in real life, you know? And people do say, like, well, you could just do this in real life and get, you know, as a real job. You could become a real truck driver. But obviously, being a real truck driver is so far removed from playing a driving game. You know, there's so much more involved. It's such a... There's so much more training, there's so much more risk, there's so much more, you know... I just think there's just a huge difference, right? You're so pretty. Thank you, Roadrunner. That's very kind of you. Oh. Oh, there's a tram. Okay. I was wondering why the car on my right there just sort of stopped dead, but it was because he was letting that tram out. Now that the AI traffic's working again, we can actually see the trams, which obviously are absent when you play on multiplayer because there's no AI traffic at all. I'd best keep that on, actually. Thanks for following, Corey. So, we're on the road. We are heading to Potesti, which is not very far away. It's going to be quite a short drive, and it's only a 6k job as well. It's 125 miles, so very, very quick little jaunt up to Potesti. We're going to try and get out of Romania. I'm going to try and, you know, visit a couple of different countries today. Obviously, we're starting in Romania because that's where my main garage is, in Craiova. But like I say, we're going to try and do as many jobs as possible. We'll do a series of smaller jobs rather than one big job this time, and we'll try and visit a few different locations as well. What's up, dude? Says, I'm Morty. How are you doing? I'm doing very good. How are you today? Put the cruise control on. Turn it down a little bit. We'll try and be sensible with the with our driving today as well. Love the Lego Game Boy yesterday. Thanks, Dagger. It's here on the shelf, look. As promised. So it will always be visible in the background from now on. And the creeper. The creeper's there, just creeping. Are you going to get voice therapy to change, says Alfie? I'm not planning on getting any like voice surgery or anything like that. I would like to do voice training eventually, but I'm not really in any mad rush, to be honest. I've kind of just gotten used to my voice. I don't like it. I've never really been a fan of my own voice, but I'm just kind of okay with it at this point, you know. Can you do a different voice? I can't, Luke. No, this is my only voice. This is the only voice I've got. Believe me, I hate it just as much as you do. But it ain't going anywhere. Are you on PC? I am, Oliver, yes. What toilet did you go in? For research, you don't have to answer. I don't use public toilets, Podnil. I don't think I've used a public toilet in the last 10 years. Like, not once. I avoid public toilets at all costs. What's the steering wheel? This is the Logitech G heavy equipment wheel. Which I got as a bundle with the side panel here and 2 pedals. Isn't that a farming sim wheel? It is designed for farming sim, yeah. It's designed with farming sim in mind, but it is it's a good like heavy duty wheel. It's a good all rounder for any heavy duty vehicles. I've used it for Euro Truck. I've used it for Bus Simulator. I've used it for Mud Runner and Snow Runner. It's not the best, it's on the cheap side, but it's not a bad starting point if you want to get your first steering wheel. It's a good place to start. What shifter is that? The shifter is the Thrustmaster TH8S, which was £60, if I remember correctly. It's got 8 speeds, or 7 speeds in reverse. And it's a very good bit of kit, very easy to map to Euro Truck as well. I've got it mapped sequentially, so I've got gears 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the 7th gear is used to shift up into the high range, and then I've got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Gay, says Cleary. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why you would look at someone like me and think that calling me gay would be an insult. Like, yeah, I am. could I make it more obvious? Good afternoon, Billy D. How are you doing? Ooh. Thanks for following, Podnil. I'm all good, thanks for asking. Glad to hear it, Billy. Glad to hear it. Whereabouts are we, by the way? We're pretty much there already. 78 miles to go. So we're not actually... the delivery point isn't actually in Petesti, it's like way out on the outskirts. It's probably a farm or a construction site, given that we're carrying a forklift or a telehandler. And because we're going to be trying to deliver some of the equipment from the new Farm Equipment DLC, we're probably going to be visiting a lot of farmyards today, a lot of construction sites, quarries, stuff like that. Is the truck... Do you own the truck, or is it on a job? This is my truck. This is the trans truck, as I like to call it. It's a Scania Streamline R730. It's my main truck that I use for most jobs in the game, and it's designed for basically all purposes, which is why it's quite kitted out. It can do heavy duty stuff, or it can do smaller jobs as well, you know. If you don't mind me asking, when did you start your transformation, says Tyler. I started my transition about 4 years ago, Tyler. I came out in 2021. Obviously, I haven't done any sort of medical transition or anything like that up to this point, just like social transition. But I'm out to my family and friends, and you know, when I go out in public, I go out like this. I've for all intents and purposes, I've socially transitioned, but nothing on the medical side so far. Multiplayer, not today, Truck Spotter, I'm sorry, we're still on single player, but we have upgraded to version 1.56, so I am now on the latest version of the game, which means multiplayer is now an option again. So keep your eyes peeled, keep your fingers crossed, maybe in a few weeks' time, there may be some Truckers MP, or even some convoys, we'll see. What made you want to switch, says Luke T. I recommend checking out my video about this, Luke. It's the very first video on my profile. Like when you go to my TikTok profile, it's the very, very first one that you see. But I talk in that video in more detail about it. It's quite a big question, is the thing. But I always had this sort of feeling that something wasn't quite right. I never really felt comfortable with myself. I always felt kind of like a stranger in my own body, you know. But I never really understood why it was. I didn't really know about trans people when I was a kid. I knew that they existed, but I didn't really know anything about them, right? Other than, you know, this born in the wrong body is kind of what... When I was a kid, that was all I understood about trans people. A trans person is someone who is born in the wrong body, which is not necessarily inaccurate, but it's also not necessarily the full picture. So I never really considered the idea that it could apply to me. I always did feel uncomfortable, but I never realised that that could be the reason for it until much later. And it was about 4 years ago now that I started to question whether my discomfort with myself and my discomfort with my body might come from the fact that I, was uncomfortable living as a man and being treated as a man and perceived as a man by society. And that's when I started to think, would I have been happier if I was a woman? Like, if I was born female, would I now feel more comfortable in myself? And that's really where it all stemmed from. You're socially awkward and scared of girls. We've all been there, says Calzetti. Well, it's not that, Calzetti. If it was just that, then I wouldn't have come out as transgender. That's that's not what it is at all. I think there is quite a big attitude of this though in towards trans people. This idea that people are only trans because they're just socially awkward men, which is so far removed from reality. It's insane. Like I genuinely don't even understand the logic behind that rhetoric. I don't understand the logic behind, you feel uncomfortable as a man, that just means that you're socially awkward. Like, no, that doesn't add up at all. It's like we've skipped some steps there. Which pronouns? She, her, thanks for asking. Must be tough getting periods, says Special Stash. Well, I don't get periods, Special Stash. I suspect you already knew that, unless you are seriously uneducated about trans people. But no, I don't get periods. I don't have the capacity to get periods, and I never will have the capacity to get periods, because I was born male, and I have not got the parts to get periods. But again, I think you already knew that, unless you really are just completely unknowledgeable about trans people. Why is it relevant? Clearly just played a trucking game. You would think so, Duzak TV. You would think that it would be as simple as just playing a truck simulator, but when you're a trans person on the internet, it does not matter what you're doing, people are going to ask you those questions. It doesn't matter what game I'm playing, it doesn't matter what the live stream's about, there's always going to be people asking deeply personal questions about what genitals I have, and do I get periods, and have I had the snip? That's unavoidable. If you're a trans person on the internet, you're going to get asked questions like that. Anyway, we are now approaching the delivery point. There's only 13 miles to go. What was your boy name? Says Strawberries and Fizz. My name is Saul. That has always been my name. That's the name I was born with. That's the name I was given by my parents. When I was born, I was named after Saul Hudson, aka Slash, the lead guitarist of Guns N' Roses, which I think is pretty cool, to be named after one of the best guitarists who ever lived. So when I came out 4 years ago, I just thought, you know what? It's a sick name. I'm going to keep it. So I kept the name that I was born with. Okay, I see the delivery point on the sat-nav now. Would you ever get any surgery, says Jackie? No. I don't intend to get any surgery. I do intend to get HRT. But I personally have never felt particularly uncomfortable with what's going on downstairs. So surgery isn't something that I really want. I'd like to, like I say, I'd like surgery, because not surgery. I'd like HRT, because I'd like a little something up here. But down there, I'm okay with what I've got. What's HRT? HRT is hormone replacement therapy. So for trans women, that's estrogen. For trans men, that's testosterone. Okay, here we are. This is not what I was expecting. I thought this was going to be like a construction site or a quarry or something like that. But it is actually just a factory building. A warehouse. Okay, this is a tricky parking spot, but I am going to try and do this from the inside camera. We're going to try not to switch to the external cam. Here we go. Okay, not bad. I think we're a little bit off. We might not quite be inside the markers there. The traffic cones are the markers, by the way. I've got a mod that removes the actual like white lines that appear to mark the loading zones and stuff like that, just for a bit more realism. And there we go. First delivery of the day finished. Do you drive trucks in real life? I don't drive at all in real life, actually. I've only got a provisional. I've never taken a single driving lesson. I don't really want to drive, to be honest. Like I said earlier, as much fun as it is in a game, I just really have no reason or desire to do it IRL. Okay, next job. Patesti to Tripoli. That could be an interesting one. I want to deliver some of the new equipment, though. I want to deliver like a combine harvester or something like that. Ah, a square baler from Brasov to Antakya. Offer expires in 2 hours. We'll never get there in time. Maybe we should fast travel. Maybe we should head a bit further into the center of Europe. Give us a better chance of getting some of the jobs that we're maybe looking for. Let's see. Let's see if we can... Oh, I pressed the wrong button there. Quick travel. Let's head to... Where should we go? Let's go Munich. That's fairly central. What did you go to uni for, says Jackie? I studied game design, computer science, with a specialisation in game design. Although I haven't published any video games yet. One day, that's my ambition. That's what I really want to be doing, is game design. Thanks for following, CT. Hello, fella. Hi, Biggest Dickus. How are you doing today? Welcome to the stream. Okay, let's see if there's any jobs then, shall we? Cargo market. Munich. There we go. Perfect. Autonomous tractor from Munich to Kassel. Or, if we want something that's actually branded, we could take the Krone Round Baler Vari Pack from Munich to Stockerau. The autonomous tractor is a much better paying job. That's 12 grand, so I think we'll give that one a go. We're already in. The handbrake's already off. Okay. Go. What wheel are you using, says Leon? This is the Logitech G heavy equipment wheel. I got it as a bundle with the side panel here and 2 pedals, brake and accelerate. I'm going to come back and rib on you tomorrow, says Calzetti. Well, you'll have a tough job because I'm not actually streaming tomorrow, Calzetti. If you want to come along on Thursday, I'll be playing Factorio. You can rib to your heart's content, but I won't actually be live tomorrow. I don't stream every day. I stream 3 streams a week. This week we're doing Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Thanks for following, Jude. But yeah, next stream's going to be Factorio on Thursday, and then Train Simulator on Saturday. Okay, are you going, or... Yep, he's going. Not a very girly thing to do, says not me. Yep, true. Women actually don't drive trucks. No girl has ever driven a truck before. It just doesn't happen. Because as we all know, in the year 2025, all women, every single woman on the planet, works in hairdressers or a nail salon. Women don't have any other jobs. Okay, autonomous tractor. Let's load it up. Yeah, I was being sarcastic, by the way, just in case no one picked up on that. I get this a lot. Whenever I play Farming Sim or anything like that, I get a lot of comments like, "Oh, that's not a very girly thing to play," and I'm just like, you know, women can do these things. You know, women can drive trucks. Women can work on farms. That all of these things can be done by women. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to imply that I'm a man because I enjoy manly things like trucks and tractors. But that logic falls apart when you realise that cis women also do enjoy the things that I enjoy. Like, it's not the argument you think you're making, you know? Oh, you good, Soul? I'm very good, Unmarked Vale. How are you doing? There we go. Okay, load up. There's the autonomous tractor. It's not based on any real tractor, as far as I'm aware. It kind of looks a bit like the Case IH autonomous tractor, but I don't. It's not like specifically based on any real one. Oh, there's some Pink Floyd graffiti on that building. Interesting. Have a good time on your truck game, bud. I will, not me. Thank you very much. I'll continue to enjoy my terribly ungirly Euro truck. Because obviously enjoying Euro Truck means that I can't possibly be a woman. Alex says, I'm glad you're comfortable and secure enough in your gender identity and to love and enjoy what you do. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, I don't really obsess over whether enjoying a certain thing makes me girly or manly, you know. I'm not a straight man, because we all know that straight men famously can't do anything without being terrified that it might make them gay. I'm not like that. I just enjoy things. I don't care whether my enjoyment of a thing is manly or unmanly or whatever. I just enjoy what I enjoy, you know? Thanks for following Milky Barkid / Fake Welshie. How are you doing? Are you a trucker or just like gaming? I like gaming. I don't actually drive a truck in real life, but I've always been a big fan of simulator games, Farming Sim, Train Simulator, and obviously Euro Truck. Where are you from? Says JT Automotive Detailing. I am originally from Harrogate. I was born in Harrogate in North Yorkshire. I've lived in Doncaster in South Yorkshire for pretty much my entire life. So although technically I'm from North Yorkshire, I'm a South Yorkshire lass at heart, you know. Hey Janice on YouTube, you look beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you. How are you doing today? Do you play American Truck Sim also, says Bubbles? I don't, actually, Bubbles. I've never really been interested in American-style trucking. I'm not a big fan of, like, big rigs and T-cabs, you know. I like the style of trucks that we have here in Europe, the more compact cab-over designs, and I like the roads in Europe more as well, because I like that you can do shorter jobs on like, hillier terrain, rather than... In American Truck Simulator, there tends to be a lot of long-haul jobs across open countryside. It's just not for me. It's just not really my cup of tea. Like I say, I've always preferred the European attitude towards trucking, the style of the trucks and stuff like that. So yeah, not an American Truck Sim player, but you know, if you enjoy American Truck Sim, if that's your thing, fair play. Ever played OMSI, says Bobby? I have, yes. We did 2 OMSI streams at the end of last year. I couldn't really get into it, to be honest. I've never really been a bus person either, to be honest. I've never really had much interest in buses. It was fun. I did enjoy playing the game, but I just didn't enjoy it enough to keep it going as like a regular series. What's happening here? Oh, there's a crash. Okay. Oh. Now I've just caused a crash. Lovely. Hey, Roman, how are you doing? Thanks for following Philip Charles Lowe. How are you doing? Do you go on Roblox, says Draydog? No, I've never actually played Roblox. People are always recommending games on Roblox, because from what I gather, Roblox is kinda... It's more like a game engine, where you can make other games within it. But I've never actually played it myself. I don't know, I've just never felt inclined to. Where can you get the game, says Jude? This is on Steam. It costs, I think, £13.50 on Steam. If you could create games, what type of game would you create? Well, I do create games, Stray Dog, because I have a degree in game design. I have, like I say, I haven't actually publicly released any games. I've never published a game in any capacity, but there are a few that there are a few prototypes that I've worked on, and there are a few ideas for games that I have that I'd like to flesh out and maybe one day make into something releasable. My kind of passion project is I was working a few years ago on a bird watching game, It was like a point-and-click bird watching game where you take photographs of birds and it's like in a pixel art style. Because I've always loved birds. My granddad was quite a big bird watcher, and he really got me interested in birds. And I thought it'd be a really cute idea for a game where you just essentially take photos of birds and you have to collect different birds and find different species and stuff like that. Sounds boring, says Leon. I mean, if you don't like birds, then yeah, it's going to be a boring game. This always makes me laugh as well. Like, it happens a lot when I'm playing Farming Sim. There's always people joining the stream that are like, "God, this looks so boring." And I'm like, yeah, if you don't like farming, then Farming Sim is going to be a boring game, right? It's only boring if the thing that the game is about is boring to you personally. Would you work with some game companies, or would you go freelance and stick with your own work? I'd like to publish something solo. Obviously, I'd like to get into the industry as well and work with some existing developers, but you know, it has always been an ambition of mine to make my own entirely self-published game as a solo developer. It hasn't happened yet, but maybe one day. Turn around, there's a creeper, says Puma. There is indeed, Puma, my little Lego creeper there. But the point of making games is to try and get a big, good audience. You won't get that with a bird watching game. Do you have any idea how popular point-and-click games are? There are so many point-and-click adventure games out there, right? I get that, like, bird watching game on its own sounds like a boring concept, but do you have any idea how popular point-and-click games are? If done right, that could get a decent amount of players. I agree, Puma. I think a lot of people, more people are interested in bird watching than you think. You know, it's a more popular hobby than you might realise. It's almost like there's a target audience for everything. Exactly, Tarot Fox. Like I've said many times before, what one person finds boring, another person will find exciting, right? Like, personally, I think FIFA is the single most boring game ever created. I cannot imagine sitting down and playing a football video game. To me, personally, that sounds incredibly boring. But there are tens of thousands of people who really like that sort of thing. And that's fine. And they probably think that Farming Sim's really boring, but I don't, and that's fine. Some people find things boring, some people find those same things interesting. That's life, you know, we all have different interests. Because it's football, everyone loves football, says Tom Dove. I get that that people who like football have this attitude that everyone else must like football, but it's not true. It's not true at all. Not everyone likes the things that you like. Just because you find something interesting and exciting, that doesn't mean that other people also find that interesting and exciting, right? And vice versa, the things that you find boring and uninteresting, other people don't necessarily find boring and uninteresting. Football's the only sport in the world that Look, I'm not trying to get into an argument about football, but the last time I watched a football match was when I was 8 years old, and my uncle took me to see a match. I can't even remember who the match was against. That was the only time that I ever watched a football match, and it's because I was physically taken to the match. I could not care less about football. Again, if you're into football, That's fine. That's not... The point that I'm making is not actually about football at all. The point that I'm making is that people have different hobbies and interests. Like, the football is kind of just a metaphor for a larger point that I'm making, right? I feel like you're too focused on the football specifically. As a mother, I'd be so disappointed if my son was doing this, says Poppy. Well, you're not my mother, Poppy. I'll have you know that my mother is very supportive of me, as is my father, and pretty much my entire family. So, thanks for letting us know that you wouldn't support your trans kids. My parents do support me. Going to see how far we've got to go. 111 miles. Okay, we're nearly there. Oh, wrong button. Where's my wipers? There we go. It's starting to rain a little bit. Don't you need fuel? I'm alright for now, Alan. We are getting a bit low, but I think we'll manage. We got 600 miles left in the tank, so I think we can finish this job first. Would you stream any of your games once they're complete? Maybe, Draydog. Yeah, I think that would be an interesting idea, would be to play some of my own games on stream one day, if I ever manage to get one published. You're a game dev, says Puma. Aspiring. I've never published anything, but I do have a degree in game design, and I've worked on several prototypes over the years, but like I say, nothing that's ever been commercially released yet. It is my ambition to eventually release my own game, and it's always been my ambition to work within the game design industry as well. Thank you, by the way, Calzetti for the roses and Simo for the heartbeat. Hello, Wraith Racing is the best. How are you doing? What's the route? Says DD09. We're currently doing Munich to Kassel. You look like Dexter Morgan with long hair. Don't know who that is, so... Oh, low gear, we're going up a hill. Very steep hill. Look like Reese Phillips, don't know who that is. I can't really feel insulted if I don't know who you're talking about. You could create your own truck sim, says Draydog. I could. It's not a bad idea. I don't know though, I feel like truck sim... I couldn't compete with the big names like Euro Truck and, you know, like Mudrunner and Snowrunner. The truck sim market has already got some big hitters in it. I think I just hit something there. The cab jolted very suddenly. I felt that. Do you play Truckers MP? I haven't played ETS in a few years. I do play Truckers MP from time to time, Jay the airline pilot. I haven't played it for a few months now, so maybe in a future stream quite soon I'd like to get back into it. You defo don't drive, says Tom Dove. Yeah, exactly. Again, people always ask me, like, why don't you just do this in real life? Just stick around for about 5-10 minutes, you'll see why. Thanks for following Jay the airline pilot, by the way. And thank you, Lenny Shanks. Would you with creating games, would you go something small and simple first, or something big? I think it's better to start small. Like I say, the game, the one that I was working on a couple of years back that I'd like to eventually revisit is this point and click bird watching game. It's a very simple concept and very simple mechanics, and it's like a good place to start because you're not like biting off more than you can chew kind of thing. You know, I wouldn't want to try and go for something super ambitious that's completely unachievable. I think it's important to know your limitations and to start with something that you know that you can actually manage. I used to play community-made games for the modded Switch and Nintendo Wii. Nice one, Jay the airline pilot. I can see Ashbridge Games being in the top 5. Well, you never know, Draydog. Maybe someday. Let's slow it down. Coming in a bit fast there. I love all your stuff, but the wheel doesn't fit. It definitely doesn't. You're not wrong. The wheel is kind of the oldest bit of my setup at the moment is the wheel. This is over 3 years old at this point, and it's on its last legs. It was never the best wheel to begin with. It's a very cheap entry-level model. I do recommend it for new players if you want to get your first ever sim steering wheel. The Logitech G heavy equipment wheel is a good place to start. But it's definitely showing its age at this point. I definitely want to upgrade to something a bit more up to date to, you know, to go with some of the other components of my setup that I've got right now. Why is it still saying headlight usage offense? I've just put my headlights on. Geez, these insults are the worst, says Draydog. Yeah, it's the funny thing is, it's always people who've just followed me as well. I don't understand the mental logic of, like, I'm gonna leave some negative comments, but first I'm gonna follow the person. Like, what's that achieving? Really, you've just given me another follow. You've just added to my follow account. I'm not complaining, I don't get why you'd follow someone to then insult them. Just don't follow. Thanks for following Kato Morris. Oh, this, am I in the wrong place here? Oh, I'm tired. I didn't realise I was tired. Oh no, I'm in the right place. The gate just didn't want to open for some reason. Afternoon, Tom. How are you doing? If you're going to insult someone, at least make an effort. I agree, Draydog. I've always said, you know, if you're going to leave a negative comment, at least try and be creative with it, because I can guarantee almost every comment you could possibly think of, I've already received. At least try to be a bit original with it, you know. Don't just leave the same comment that 50,000 people have already left. Okay, I can't actually see where we're reversing into right now. Oh, shit. "26 playing simulators, lol, get provide," says Mr. Nobody. Oh, go outside, says Mr. Nobody. Okay, first of all, Mr. Nobody, people over the age of 26 are allowed to play simulator games. In fact, I think most people who play simulator games are older than 26. I would hazard a guess that the average age of Euro Truck Simulator players is probably more than 26. And second of all, I do go outside quite regularly. If you want to see video evidence of me going outside, check out my Peak District documentary videos that I've posted on TikTok this year. There's 3 of them. They're about half an hour each, so they're quite a watch. But if you want to see me not only going outside, but giving you a little bit of a history and geography lesson on some of the more popular walks in the Peak District, do check out those videos on my channel. See what I did there? I turned that insult into an advert for my own videos. Anyway, second job of the day is done. Before we take the next one, I am going to go and find a place to sleep and refuel, because we are starting to run a bit low on fuel, and we definitely do need to sleep. "Do you call yourself a woman?" says Broggs. Yes, I do. I do indeed. And so do my friends, and so do my family, and so do pretty much everyone I meet, and if they don't, then they're not worth talking to. This rain's really coming down now as well. I'm hoping once we've slept, it will, the rain will stop. Although I do like it. I like driving in the rain in this game, honestly. The only thing I don't like is driving at night, because there just isn't much to see when you drive at night. And I want to make sure that there's some visual interest for you, the viewer, obviously, so... Would you ever become an IRL truck driver, says Oliver Johnson? No, Oliver, it's not something that I want to do in real life. As much fun as it is to do in a video game, there's obviously a very, very significant difference between driving in a game and driving in real life. It's not something that I've ever really wanted to do. Thanks for following, Maeve. Did you manage to finish the Game Boy? We did, Draydog. There it is. You hopefully can see it on the TikTok stream. The Game Boy is just there on my new shelf. Honestly, on the stream, you might not even be able to tell that it's Lego. It's so unbelievably accurate. It's really, really good. Were you born man or woman, says Lenny Sharks? Neither, Lenny. Nobody's born man or woman. If you mean boy or girl, then I was assigned male at birth, so I was raised as a boy. Does the V8 sign on the dash light up? It doesn't, Oliver, unfortunately. That would be pretty cool, but no, on this one it doesn't. Okay, is this where I sleep? This doesn't seem... So, wait, where's the actual parking spot then? Is it there where that truck is? Because I can't park there. There's already a truck there. Janice on YouTube says, I was also assigned male at birth. We're still women. I couldn't agree more, Janice. I think the sooner people realise that there's a difference between sex and gender, the better. Because people are always like, were you born a boy or a girl? Like, no, I was born male. Male is a sex, woman is a gender, they're two different things. But people genuinely can't get their head around that, and I think 99% of transphobia is just people not understanding that sex and gender are two different things. And right on cue, Bailey Turner has turned up in the chat to prove the point by saying, no, they're not. Exactly, that's my point. You can't accept that they're different things, so you're never going to accept trans people because you're starting from a place of misinformation. You're starting on a premise that is patently untrue. I said in one of my recent videos, it's like trying to convince a flat earther that the world is not flat. That you can't do it. You can never do it because they've already made up their mind and they won't accept even the most basic information, right? Like, you'll never convince a transphobe that sex and gender are two different things because they're already starting from a conclusion that they aren't. Like, you know, effectively, the decision has already been made, so nothing you ever say or do is going to convince them otherwise. Do these people have nothing better to do than sit in a TikTok comment hating on someone gay in? No, they really don't. They really don't, Saul. Nice name, by the way, fellow Saul. No, they really don't have anything better to do. If they had anything better to do, they'd be doing it. But no, they all flock to the comment section. Every single live stream, you can't get away from them. If they're separate, why do they get a sex operation to be the sex they cosplay to be, says Souden. Once again, Souden, you're making an assumption there that all trans people have the same transition goals in mind. I haven't had any surgery, and I don't want to get any surgery. I'm happy with what I've got in the downstairs department. I've never felt uncomfortable with my genitalia. Sorry to be frank, but, you know, you asked the question. So again, when you ask a question like that, you're making an assumption that's patently untrue. You're making the assumption that all trans people want the exact same thing in their transition, which they don't. Thanks for following, Michael Gamer. Some people say you're not trans if you don't do the surgeries. I disagree with that. I also disagree with that, Draydog. Unfortunately, there's a lot of that even within the trans community itself. It's called transmedicalism. Shit, I just crashed. It's usually this idea that, you know, in order for a trans person to be valid, you know, you have to have surgeries and hormones, and if you don't transition in a certain way, then you're not really trans. And unfortunately, that kind of attitude does exist even within the trans community. But I don't subscribe to it. I think the only thing that you need to be trans is to identify as a different gender. You don't need to, you know, hormones and surgery and all that kind of stuff. They might be important for some people, but not for others. Everyone has a different goal in mind with their transition. Everyone starts in a different place, everyone ends in a different place, you know? Why can I not sleep? It seems like no matter where I park, it won't let me sleep. So which toilets do you use, says Daz Clip Farmer? I use the toilet in my house, Daz Clip Farmer. Whenever I need to go to the toilet, I get up, I go out of the bedroom door, and I go into my bathroom, which is right next door. Okay, we can sleep here. Good. What gender's on your birth certificate? There's no gender on my birth certificate, Charlie. If you mean what sex is on my birth certificate, it is male, because I am male. That is my sex. Once again, I'm not denying the fact that I am male, because I am. Male or female toilets in public is what I'm asking. I don't use public toilets, Daz Clip Farmer. I don't like using public toilets because they're very gross. If I'm in public and I need the toilet, I'll hold it. Oh shit, I accidentally switched into reverse gear there. Okay, we've slept. It is unfortunately the middle of the night, but... Oh, disc arrows to Frankfurt. That seems like a good job. We'll take that one next. I do the same, says WCF. Honestly, yeah, I've never liked public toilets. Even before I came out, I didn't like using public toilets. I just think they're gross and unhygienic. The thought of using a toilet that thousands of random people have used is just really gross to me. Like, the toilet in my house, I know that only I and people who visit me have used it, right? You have had surgery, but earlier said you didn't, says Lenny Shanks. I haven't had surgery, Lenny Shanks. They can never spell, neither, says Tara Fox. Yeah, honestly, I think it's very telling that the negative comments are almost exclusively misspelled with terrible grammar. Not to cast aspersions on the intelligence of anyone leaving those comments, but it's definitely a pattern that I've noticed. It's great your brother was willing to move in with you to help out with rent and stuff. Yeah, it is. It is. I enjoy living with my brother, and he does pull his weight around the house. Do you want to be a HGV driver one day, says M-Bobs? No, M-Bobs. I don't want to do this as a career. As much fun as it is to do in a game, I don't actually want to do it for a living. how much does it cost, all the setup? My full setup was about £2,000. 1,000 of that for the PC itself, and then 1,000 for everything else. All of the simulation gear here is about £400. That's for the steering wheel, you know, handbrake, gear shifter, ignition lock, beacon light, side panel. All of that stuff comes to about 400. Then 1,000 for the PC, and about 600 for everything else. So monitors, microphones, webcams, all that kind of stuff. Why did you decide to change, says Austin? Good question, Austin. I do recommend checking out my video about this, because it's a big question. But I came out about 4 years ago. I always felt very uncomfortable with myself. I always felt kind of a stranger in my own body. And I always just felt that something wasn't quite right, but I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. And, you know, when I was a kid, I didn't really know about trans people. I didn't really know what being trans meant. So I never really questioned that it could be... I never really questioned that those feelings could be caused by gender dysphoria, or, like, the reason that I felt uncomfortable was because I, you know, would have been more comfortable as a girl. So when I was a kid, like I say, I felt uncomfortable, but I never really knew why. I could never put my finger on it, and I never really questioned it, to be honest. I was just kind of like, you know, everyone must feel like this. But then when I got to adulthood, you know, and I still had those same feelings, and I still felt this kind of discomfort about myself, that's when I sort of started to question whether there may be some deeper reason behind it, whether, you know, there might be something causing that that disconnect between my mind and body, as it were. And that's how I started to question, you know, maybe I'd be more comfortable if I'd been born female and if I'd been raised as a girl. And that's really sort of what got me thinking about it and questioning it. And over time, I realised that I am a lot happier as a woman. I feel a lot happier as a woman. I'd feel even happier if I had actually been born female, but unfortunately, that's something that I'll never be able to change. I was born male, but that doesn't mean that I can't be a woman, you know, and I know I say it a lot, but genuinely, I cannot put into words how much more comfortable I feel now. I always say that I feel like before I came out, I thought that I was happy, but that was because I'd never really experienced true happiness. You know, I thought that I was comfortable in myself, but that was because I didn't realize how much better things could be, if that makes sense. Like 5 years ago, I could not have imagined being as comfortable and self-confident as I am now. The difference is insane. And that's how I know that I've made the right decision. That's how I know that this is genuine, because genuinely, I can't tell you how much more comfortable, how much more confident I feel now than I did before I came out. Would you go into women's private areas, toilets, changing rooms, etc.? I have no reason to, Austin. Once again, I don't use public toilets at all because they're gross, and I don't really have any reason to use women's changing rooms either, because I don't go to the gym, I don't like go swimming or anything like that. So it doesn't really matter either way, because I just don't use those facilities at all, either the men's or the women's. If you came out in secondary school, what do you think things would have been like? That's a very good question, Draydog, and I have often wondered... I've often wondered how different things would have been if I'd came out when I was younger. But if you had to, which one, says Austin? But I don't have to, Austin. I don't have to. Anyway, yeah, it's, I think if I'd came out in secondary school, it would have been more difficult for me, because my secondary school was not the most accepting environment for queer people. I was aware of a few queer people at school. I knew a few of my classmates were gay, a few of my classmates were bi, but I didn't have any classmates who were openly trans, and I don't think I would have been openly trans. Even if I knew I was trans at that point, I don't think I would have been open about it, because I don't think that environment would have been very accepting. I think schools today are a lot better at that. I think school kids today feel a lot more comfortable expressing that sort of thing. But like I say, when I was at secondary school, there were a few gay kids, there were a few bi kids, but there were no openly trans kids. You're only 3 years older than me. Back in those days, bullying in school was pretty bad. Yeah, I mean, I was never bullied, but I was never a popular kid either. I was just kind of in the middle. And I knew kids who were bullied. And I'm aware of how cruel kids can be. I'm aware of how bullying can be a very significant problem in schools. I just, like I say, I think even if I knew I was trans at that age, I don't think I would have been open about it at school. I think once I got to uni, I think that would have been an appropriate time. I really do wish that I had been out while I was at uni, because a lot of the people that I met at uni are trans and non-binary, and obviously university is a lot more open and accepting when it comes to stuff like that. It's a lot more of an open and accepting environment. I do regret not being out while I was at university. I wish that I knew that I wish that I knew that I was trans while I was at university. I think I would have had a much better time. Not that I hated university, I loved university, but I didn't come out until after. So yeah, I think if there was any point that I wish I had come out, it would have been while I was at university, but not secondary school. I don't think I would have enjoyed being out at secondary school. At school, I didn't really fit in and tried to keep to myself. I wasn't exactly popular either. That was kind of me, Draydog. Yeah, I had a friend group, and we were never like the super popular crowd, like, you know, the class clowns or anything like that, but we weren't like bottom of the barrel either. I just kind of got by at secondary school, you know. I had friends. Yeah, to be quite honest, I enjoyed secondary school. I didn't really have a tough time at secondary school, but again, I think if I had been out as a trans woman or as a trans girl at secondary school, I think I would have had a much worse time. No offense, but isn't it mad how much trans people change? It is, Riley, it is. I think, for me personally as well, people have noted that even though I haven't actually had any physical changes, I haven't had any surgery, I haven't had any hormones, yet I am a completely different person to who I was 5 years ago, because I've embraced being trans, you know? Like, yeah, I am physically exactly the same. I haven't made any changes in that department, but I'm happier, I'm healthier, you know, I'm more comfortable, I'm more confident. I am a different person, even though physically nothing has actually changed. What do your parents think about you being trans? They are very accepting, Austin. The first people in my family that I came out to were my parents. I actually came out to my stepmum first, then my dad, and then my mum. But they've been very accepting. My dad, in particular, has always been a very, very vocal supporter. He's always like stood in my corner and spoken up for me when I've needed it. But they've been with me every step of the way. My entire family has. My brothers and sisters. You know, I am so incredibly lucky because my environment, you know, has been so accepting. Like, just everyone around me has been so incredible. Would you ever go back? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Even if one day, I'm not saying it would happen, but even if in a hypothetical future situation I were to detransition, I still wouldn't regret what's happened. You know, I wouldn't regret being trans. I wouldn't regret coming out and being who I am right now. Just watched your video about looking after a jumping spider. Found it so interesting. Not something I've ever thought about. Thank you, Andrew Christopher. Honestly, jumping spiders make great pets. I used to be terrified of spiders. I used to have really bad arachnophobia. And I'm still not great around spiders, but I'm a lot more comfortable now that I've kept them as pets. I think jumping spiders are the cure to arachnophobia. I really do. If you're scared of spiders, or if you're on the fence about spiders, get yourself a pet jumping spider. It will change your worldview entirely. They're just such amazing creatures. They're so cute. They're so inquisitive. They're so friendly. They're really, really great pets. I never knew that you couldn't just throw the worms into the bottom. That's what I would have done. Yeah, the thing with mealworms is they hatch into beetles. Like, mealworms are the larvae of a type of beetle, which can do some serious harm to jumping spiders because, you know, the spiders are only quite small. If a beetle that's almost as big as the spider itself manages to get a bite in there, it will kill the spider. And if you just throw a mealworm into the enclosure, chances are it'll like burrow into the ground and hide itself away, and then it'll hatch into one of these beetles. So whenever you're feeding a spider, you always want to make sure that you're actually giving the food to the spider, like you're holding it directly up to it so that it can catch it. It's not a good idea to let the food just wander around and wait for the spider to find it. And the same goes with bigger spiders as well. Like, tarantulas tend to eat much larger insects, like they can eat cockroaches and stuff like that. But a cockroach could also kill a tarantula if it manages to catch the tarantula off guard, you know what I mean? If it manages to sneak up on it, there is a serious risk to your own spider's health. So yeah, whenever you're feeding pets, I think just for any pet, whenever you're feeding a pet a live, whenever you're feeding it live food, you should always make sure that you're actually feeding it directly to the pet and not just leaving it in there for it to find on its own. I've been thinking of doing lives and a schedule, but because of trolls I'm not so sure about it. Honestly, Draydog, I would bite the bullet and go for it. The trolls, after a while, you just get used to them. I mean, I'm so used to them at this point. I've been doing this for well over a year now. Every single live stream, without fail, I get so many spam comments, troll comments, you know, all that kind of shit. Eventually, you kind of just get thick skin about it, and it's just kind of like, oh, you joined my stream and called me a bloke? Well done, you're like the 500th person to do that today. The troll comments just kind of lose their sting when you've heard the same 5 comments over and over again, you know? Did you go for men or women? Why are you ignoring me? Sorry, Charlie, I didn't mean to ignore you. I've just been answering other questions. I go for both men and women. I would consider myself pansexual, so I'm not really too fussy. when it comes to gender. I do prefer women, but I'm not totally averse to the idea of dating men either. Thanks, maybe one day. Didn't know you had arachnophobia. Good for you for taking the step. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, like I said earlier, having pet jumping spiders has helped me so much to overcome my fear of spiders, and I'm still not totally comfortable around them. Like, I still wouldn't handle like a house spider with my bare hands or anything like that, but I'm a lot more comfortable, like, you know, dealing with them nowadays. Like 5 years ago, if I saw a spider in my bath, I would drown it. But nowadays, if I see a spider, I will take it outside. I'll be as gentle as I can with it. You know, there's still a little bit of fear there, but there's also a lot more respect. Like, I respect spiders a lot more, and I appreciate them a lot more, and I want to... I don't think it's fair that you should kill a spider just because you don't like spiders. You know, that just... Looking back, that's such a cruel thing to do. You know, that spider's got as much right to exist as I have, you know. Just not in my bathtub. To get close enough to feed it up close is win-win in my opinion. Yeah, jumping spiders I can easily handle now. Can I be a mod for spam? Don't worry, Taro. I've just gotten rid of that. Yeah, jumping spiders, I'm definitely a lot more comfortable handling now. I can definitely hold those in my hand, and I've handled, obviously, Amber, my current Phidippus Nikites jumping spider. It's one of those things where you've kind of just got to overcome the psychological barrier of, of handling a spider. That once you've got it in your hand and it's just kind of sat there, it's a lot less scary. But with house spiders, because they can run super fast, I'm always terrified that as soon as it gets on my hand, it's just gonna straight up my arm and like into my hair or whatever. Which it probably wouldn't, because most spiders, once they're confronted, they tend to just tense up and freeze. But I still have that little bit of fear that if I pick up a house spider, it's just gonna scurry up my sleeve or whatever. So I'm still not quite comfortable handling those with my bare hands yet. You sound like a very good human. Thank you, Best Quotes Mix. That's honestly, I think that's one of the best compliments that you can receive, you know, just being a good person. That's what we should all strive to be at the end of the day, right? What game is this, and are there any mods? Says Archie, this is Euro Truck Simulator 2. I'm playing with about 40 mods at the minute, which is a lot less than my usual mod list. I usually have like 100, 150. Last week we were playing with nearly 200 mods, but we've only got 40 at the minute. We got Promods, Promods Middle East, Promods The Great Step, and we got a few Steam Workshop items as well, including Farzel's Cab Cats. We got a little cat on the dashboard there, and it's animated. You'll if we watch him for a minute, you'll see him roll over. Or not. He's asleep. There he goes. So that's a really cute little mod. Not being rude, but what does trans woman mean? So trans basically means that my gender and sex don't align with each other. So I was born male and I was raised as a boy, but now I identify as a woman. So even though I am male, male is my sex, my gender is woman, and that's what being trans is. It basically just means that your gender doesn't match your sex, at least in like the sort of societal perception of the alignment between sex and gender. Basically, if you were born male but you identify as woman, or if you were born female but you identify as a man, You're transgender. That's all it means. How's you today? I'm good, STFC. How are you doing? Okay, I don't think there's enough space here to do a U-turn. But damn if I'm gonna try. Because we need to do one. Excuse me. I've just recently got back into the old hobby of reading manga. Feels great to get back into it. Nice one, Andrew. Having a couple of kids kind of put my hobby on the back burner. I get that. Yeah, I get that. Oh, thank you for following on Twitch, Ryan from Wales 123. How you doing? Yeah, I get that having kids can take precedent over your hobbies to some extent. Hi, Saul. Hi, Ryan from Wales. How are you doing? You must have a lot of skill reading chat while driving, especially on the motorway, says Barth Flynn. Accidents happen, Barth. I do crash a lot while I'm busy reading the chat. Video games and reading are some of my favourite things to do. Oh, I agree. I agree, Andrew. I really want to get back into reading. I used to love reading, but I haven't done much reading for a while. But I'd love to get back into reading. In fact, I just recently, I was in town with my sister, and I bought Abroad in Japan by Chris Broad. If you're not aware, Chris Broad is a YouTuber who's lived in Japan for like the last 10 years or so. And I've watched his YouTube channel for a long time. Back in the late 2010s when I was planning on going to Japan, his channel really gave me a sort of insight into the country and really helped me to understand a lot more. Unfortunately, that dream never ended up happening. I've still not been to Japan. But it is something that's always been, you know, on the back burner, something that I've always wanted to do. But yeah, the point is, this YouTuber, Chris Broad, his YouTube name is Abroad in Japan, and his book that he's just released has the same name. The book's called Abroad in Japan, and it's, I haven't read it, I haven't started reading it yet, but from what I gather, it's basically him telling the story of how he moved to Japan, how he ended up there, and, you know, his life there over the last 10 years. So looking forward to getting into it. Okay, let's try a fire engine. We've took 3 pieces of agricultural equipment today. Let's do something a little bit different and go for a fire engine next, shall we? I've heard they're bringing buses to ETS2. They are, Andrew, yes. So there's a DLC they're working on right now called Project Coaches, which is going to add in long-distance coach trips. So it's not going to be like your more traditional local bus services or anything like that. It's going to be like long-distance coach trips between cities, which I think makes a lot of sense for Euro Truck because kind of the whole game is driving between cities, you know, doing long distance deliveries. So I think coaches kind of fit quite nicely and quite naturally into the game. I'm definitely looking forward to it. They haven't announced a release date yet, but it's definitely something that I'll be trying when it comes out. I wonder if the game will ever come to PS5. I currently play on Steam Deck. It is coming to PS5. They announced just a couple of months ago that Euro Truck Simulator 2 will be coming to next-gen consoles. Again, no release date yet, but they have confirmed they're finally doing it. It's crazy to me that this game has been out for like 12 years at this point, and they're only just getting around to consoles, but better late than never. I think it's really cool that they're finally doing it. I've got friends and family who play on console who would definitely be interested in Euro Truck Simulator, So it will be really cool to be able to finally play Euro Truck cross-platform with those people who have consoles. But yeah, it is wild to me that it's taken this long to get a console version of the game. I heard about it coming to Xbox, but didn't hear any mention of PlayStation. Yeah, it will be on PlayStation as well. Obviously, PS5, not PS4. I think PS4 is effectively, you know, defunct now. I don't think they're still making games for that at this point. But yeah, it is coming on PS5 as well. Do you use the stick on the Logitech panel to move the camera? No, the stick on the panel is for the indicators. So I think it works really well as an indicator stick. It's designed for... because obviously the side panel is designed for farming sim. It's designed for like using telehandlers and like moving vehicle arms and stuff like that. But it works really well as a indicator stick. So that's what I use that for. Crazy how fast technology moves. I mean, when you get an iPhone, it's only new for like a few months. That is very true, Andrew. Technology moves so fast these days. Honestly, that's kind of why I prefer computers and why I'm glad that I made the move to PC. Because I feel like with consoles, they have a sort of shorter shelf life. Whereas with a PC, you can kind of keep updating it without having to replace the whole thing. With consoles, you kind of have to get the newest console every few years, or you won't be able to play the latest games. Whereas with a PC, you can kind of just modify it, and you know, if once it starts to get outdated, you can replace the graphics card, or you can replace the hard drive, or whatever, rather than replacing the entire thing like you need to do with consoles. Not that I'm averse to consoles, you know, consoles have their place. I've always said I don't understand the pointless arguments about, oh, PC's better, console's better. I think they both have their uses, and it kind of depends on your own situation and what works best for you, you know. But for me personally, PC is the thing that makes the most sense. Only downside to having a PC is some developers don't optimize games that good. That's very true, STFC. Poorly optimized games are the bane of my existence. Do you have many things buttoned on the side panel? Yes, pretty much all the buttons on the side panel are mapped. They all do things. Once we pull over in just a second, because we're nearly at the delivery location, I'll show you what all the buttons on the side panel do. But I think every single one is mapped. I play Farm Sim on PS5, and what irritates me most is the draw distance. Oh, yeah, I feel that, Andrew, I feel that. How do you remember all the buttons? Because I can never remember, says Barthlin. You just get used to it, you know. It's I mean, it's just like remembering all the shortcuts on the keyboard, you know, remembering which keyboard button does the lights and which one does the horn, except instead of a keyboard, it's a control panel. Oh, we're supposed to be in there. One sec. When's your taco break, says Tom Dove. I don't know. We don't get taco breaks, I'm afraid. Maybe I should speak to my union. How do I... oh, that's where I get in. Hi, Hoops Pukes, how are you doing? Always have like a ring around my player with high quality and low quality crops. Yeah, honestly, back when I first started Farming Sim, I had Farm Sim 15 on the PS4. I know the feeling of having this tiny circle around you of high definition crops, and then everything else is just a distant blur. Oh! We were supposed to interact with the marker at the entrance. That's what I forgot to do. Is that gate going to open? Yes, it is. Thank you. I'm going to hit the fence. Oh, just missed it. Is it much better on PC, or is it a Giants thing? Because I don't remember the problem on FS22. I mean, it depends on your PC, you know. That's the other thing about PCs, is they're so much more customizable. Like, if you have a PS5, every PS5 is essentially the same. Whereas with PCs, there's so much variety. I think that's why it's a lot harder to optimize games for PC as well, because, you know, no two people have the exact same setup, in theory. Obviously, people have similar setups, but pretty much everyone's got a slightly different configuration of graphics card and RAM and HDD and SSDs and whatever. Like, everyone's got a different motherboard. Every PC's different, right? So it's a lot harder to predict how something's gonna perform on a PC, because you can't possibly test it on every single possible combination of hardware, right? But to answer your question, because I kind of avoided answering it there, on my PC, personally, FS25 runs pretty well. Hey, how you doing? Your username is completely blank, but how are you doing? Oh, were we not in the marker there? There we go. Nope, we're still not in the marker. What's... There we go. Okay. I'm off now, but thanks for the chats. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you very much. It's been nice to have you here. Okay, before we start driving, I'm just going to show you the controls, because who was it who was asking about the controls just a few minutes ago? I apologise. I forgot who it was who was asking. But all of these are mapped. So these two buttons here are for the menu. This one opens up the mini-map, and this one opens up the main menu. Then we've got... oh, these two don't do anything. These two here are for the windscreen wipers. There's one to turn them up, make them go faster, and then the other one turns them down and eventually turns them off. We got window controls here. You can't see these because they're kind of just behind the beacon light, but there's some orange buttons here that control the windows. There's two for the right window and two for the left window. Then the yellow buttons down here are for the headlights. And the middle one there's for the hazards. A few of these aren't mapped because there aren't really too many headlights combinations, but that's what they do. Then these green and blue ones here, one is for connecting trailers, one is for raising and lowering the drop axle. There we go. If I press this button here, oh no, that was the decouple button. We just disconnected the trailer. But if you look at the second axle, that button there raises and lowers it. We can probably have it raised because this fire engine doesn't look too heavy. But that's what that button does. Then this little dial here is to set the cruise control. You can turn that up and down. The gear stick here I use for the indicators, left and right. And these buttons here, I think these might be for cruise control as well. Oh, this middle one does something. I can't remember what. The point is, most of the controls are mapped. They not all of them get much use, because, like, for example, I don't lift and drop the axle very often. So some of them don't get used as much as others, like the windscreen wipers and the lights, but pretty much every button on the panel does something. And they're all fully customizable. Euro Truck is very good at that. You can, pretty much any controller that you plug in, you can customize every single button and decide what you want it all to do. So all of these are remappable, that's just how I've got them set up. Is there any simulators you haven't played yet but want to play, says Draydog? Off the top of my head, no. I can't really think of any that I'm particularly... like, there's nothing that I'm particularly looking forward to or that I've got my eye on at the minute. But, you know, I'm always on the lookout for new simulator games. If a new simulator comes on the market that seems interesting, I'm definitely open to playing them. But there's nothing specifically that I've got my eye on right now. How much was the wheel and pedals, says Alfie? The wheel was the wheel, side panel, and pedals all come as a bundle. It's £230. That's direct from Logitech's website, which is it's a good price for what you get. It's pretty much one of the cheapest wheels on the market, and you get the side panel with that. And this, I don't care what anyone says, this is the best side panel you can get. You can buy the side panel separately for £150 as well if you just want that on its own, and I highly, highly recommend it. The wheel's a bit cheap and a bit, you know, a bit rubbish, to be honest, and I definitely want to get a new one, but the side panel is perfect. Thanks for following, Derek Price. Flight sim's the best, says Tom Dove. I'm not really into planes, Tom. I've never been a plane person, so flight sim's never really interested me. If that's your thing, more power to you. I've got a friend who's really into flight sim, and he's got all the flight sim gear. So, like, I've got an entire truck cab here. He's got, like, an entire aeroplane cabin. But yeah, it's not really for me. If that's what you're into, more power to you. But for me, planes have just never really been my cup of tea. I just want to say, by the way, we are 2 hours into the stream now. The game has been running a lot better. Now that we've reduced the mod list, the game's running a lot smoother. There seems to be less lag on the camera as well. I think downsizing to a smaller list of mods has really helped. And hopefully you will corroborate that. Let me know. But it seems like the stream's running a lot smoother now than it normally would be if we were playing with the big mod list. Have you ever played shooter games, says Jensen? Thank you for following, by the way, Jensen. I've played some shooter games. I'm not massively into first-person shooters, but there are a couple that I've enjoyed. I like Call of Duty, but only for the zombies. I love COD Zombies, but I've never been really into the campaign or the multiplayer. I've always just, like... I bought Black Ops 3 just to play the zombies. That's literally for no other reason. I wasn't interested in the campaign or multiplayer at all. And there's a few other first-person shooters that I've played, but like I say, I'm not massively into them, but they're alright, you know. Hello, Horse Lover. Thank you for following, Ali. Hello to the world's prettiest truck driver. Thank you, Moo Boy. How are you doing today? Love Euro Truck. Me too, Horse Lover. It's good to be back. Good to be back in Euro Truck. It's been almost a month, I think, since we played Euro Truck. The last 2 Euro Truck streams got cancelled. Why don't you change your dead zone so it doesn't stick when going straight? I actually have a 0% dead zone, JE Darts. I know it doesn't look like it. The in-game dead zone is set to 0%, but the steering wheel itself has quite a big dead zone, just because of wear and tear over the years. I've had this for a few years, and it's been bruised and battered quite a lot in that time. So yeah, there is quite a big hardware dead zone, which the only way to fix that is to get a new steering wheel. But the in-game dead zone is set to 0%. And yes, it does annoy me. It does annoy me. That's just one of the reasons why I'm hoping in the new year to look at finally upgrading my wheel. Because like I said earlier, this is the oldest part of my current setup. That's including like my computer and monitors as well. Like, this is the single oldest part of my entire setup. It's older than the desk, it's older than the monitors, it's older than my headphones, my mic. This is the single oldest piece of kit that I've got at the minute. So I definitely want to upgrade this. It's definitely the next thing on the list to be upgraded. And I'm hoping in the new year I'm going to finally get round to doing that. Oh shit, we're crossing 2 lanes here. Whoops. I am trying to drive safely today, by the way. I know we've made a couple of mistakes along the way. But I think safer than usual, honestly. Yeah, that's the wheel being quite old is also why it twitches. Like, you'll see the in-game wheel twitch quite a lot. That's also a hardware problem, just from the wheel being worn out. Okay, we can get up to top gear here, I think. Never mind, there's roadworks ahead. Back down again. Don't you dare, don't you dare, he's doing it. Thanks, Alf. I mean, we would have had to slow down anyway. This is, it looks like the entire road markings have been rejigged here. I am aware that we're very close to the barrier on the left there, because this lane is narrower than usual. I mean, where else was he supposed to go? True, true. But I mean, just like a real-life driver, it's never my fault. I'm always going to blame the other person. It was definitely his fault for pulling out in front of me there, even though there was literally nowhere else that he could have gone. Oh, I don't need to do that. I think I need to stay in this lane because the right lane's about to disappear to the right. Hello, Horse Lover and Pro Pixel Stream. How are you both doing over on Twitch? How are you doing today? I'm doing well. I'm enjoying Euro Truck. Glad to be back in Europe because we've spent most of the last few streams in Africa and Asia. It's good to be back in like the vanilla map area. Obviously, we are still using Pro Mods, but yeah, it's nice to be back in more familiar territory. We're currently entering the Rhineland in Germany, and we're heading towards Koblenz. You want a new job? We are. We're currently transporting a fire engine. We've actually done 4 jobs today. We've been trying to take shorter jobs just so that we can get more variety of equipment rather than just doing one long job. But so far today we've delivered a telehandler, a disc harrow, the fire engine, and a autonomous tractor. Hi, Pro Pixel Stream, how you doing? Welcome. Ooh, tight corner, and a hill, and a hill. I think we'll, let's switch down to 6th and try and keep it slow round here. Ain't trying to be rude, but you're a boy or a girl. I am a trans woman, Oscar, so I was born male, I was raised as a boy, but I have been out as a woman for about 4 years now. Okay, I think we can shift back up now. Proud of you, my name's Harry, by the way. Hi, Harry, how are you doing? And thank you. I'm very proud of myself, too. Good, thanks, how are you? I'm good, yeah, it's been a good stream so far. It's quietened down now. It tends to quieten down after the sort of 2-hour mark. Obviously, it got quite busy earlier. We had quite a few people here sharing some wonderful comments. But it's quietened down a bit now, as it tends to do in the sort of last third of the stream. Can I ask you a question? Says ProPixel Stream. Go ahead. You don't have to ask if you can ask me a question, by the way. I'm here to answer questions. That's what I'm here for. So, you know, you don't have to preface it with a question. You can just go right ahead and ask what you want to ask. Okay, tight corner there. We are now... I don't know what I just hit there. We're now approaching Koblenz. That was quite some damage we just took as well. Thanks for following, Robin Coleman's. What gender are you? Once again, I'm a trans woman, so I was born male. My sex is male, and I was raised as a boy, but I came out about 4 years ago, and I've lived as a woman ever since. Where are you currently and where are you going? We are just outside Koblenz in Germany, and that is where we're going. We're just delivering this fire engine. Where we're going to go next, I don't know. We might get 2 more jobs done today, I reckon. We've done 4 jobs in 2 hours, so I reckon there's another hour left. I think we could do another 1 or 2 jobs. Robin says, no worries, been watching you these past days, like the content. Thank you, Robin. Thank you very much. Keep it up. I will do. And it's good to have you here. Have you had the surgery yet? Says Big Header. Says Big Head Hitter. I haven't had any surgery, and I don't actually want to have any surgery. So I think it would be wrong to say that I haven't had any surgery yet, because I'm never going to have any surgery. It's not something that I personally feel is important to my transition. Like I was saying earlier, transition is different for everyone. Everyone has a different start and end point, and everyone has different goals in mind. For me personally, surgery is not a part of that. Hormone therapy is definitely something that I want to do, and you know, voice feminization, and maybe like laser hair removal so I don't have to shave every day. But surgery, it's just not something that is important to me personally. Sorry for asking that. It's okay. It's okay, big head hitter. I'm just going to call you Harry because your username is a bit of a mouthful. Thank you. It's all right, Harry. I do appreciate questions like that. I know they can be a bit TMI. I do get a lot of these questions that are a bit on the personal side, but at the same time, I think if a question's being asked from a place of genuine interest and curiosity, I would rather answer it than ignore it. If it's just being asked, you know, to try and provoke a certain reaction, then I will ignore it. But, you know, when people are asking questions and it's clear that it's a genuine question, even if the question might be a bit personal, if it's being asked from a place of genuine curiosity, I will try my best to give an honest and open answer, because I've always felt that's, you know, how are people going to understand trans people unless we tell them and we explain these things for people who want to know more, you know? I've always been here to be an open book, you know? I've always been here to try and help people understand me a bit better and to try and help people get a better understanding of trans people in general. Okay, fire engine delivered. Do you know when ETS2's coming to console, says Horselover? I don't, Horselover. I have no idea. They haven't announced any kind of release window or anything like that. All we know is that it is going to happen at some point. How long have you been streaming? Today, ProPixel, we've been live for just over 2 hours. Hey, Charlie Mailer, how you doing? Can't wait for the bus in this game, says Video Pop. Me neither. I'm looking forward to Project Coaches. You don't need to explain yourself to anyone, just be you. Thank you, Scott. I do appreciate that. Like I say, I mean, I know I don't have to explain myself, you know, but at the same time, I like to. Because, like I was saying earlier, I think the best way to combat ignorance is to educate, you know, and that's all. Any kind of phobia, homophobia, transphobia, racism, it's all ignorance. It all comes from a place of people not understanding, and the best way to combat that is to help people to understand, you know. So that's what I do. I just try and help people to understand me a little bit more. Being a lorry driver, I love watching you play this. Thank you, Charlie. Oh god, the rain's really picked up now. We'd best get these wipers on. We're just going to go and get some repairs done, because we did get a bit of damage to the trailer in that last job. We had a little bit of a collision. And then we'll see if we can get another job on the go. Do I need to sleep? Nope, we're okay for that. What are you aiming to achieve on your channel, says ProPixel Stream? On TikTok, which is kind of my main platform, my goal has always been to... Like, I've always wanted to build a platform on my educational content. And I do make quite a lot of educational stuff on TikTok. I do, like, my Peak District documentary videos. I've done videos about my pet spiders and spider care and stuff like that. And obviously I've done plenty of videos talking about my experience as a trans person and trying to help people to understand the trans experience. So education has always been a big part of what I do on TikTok. Obviously not so much on Twitch and YouTube, because those are pretty much just places to live stream. In which case my goal is to entertain. But on TikTok, like I say, my goal has always been both to entertain and to educate. And I think I do that quite well. And that's really what I try to maintain. I do understand it, but who am I to stop someone doing what makes them happy? Thank you, Scott Ashton. I appreciate that. Again, at the end of the day, if you are doing something that makes you comfortable and it you know, it's not harming anyone else, then do it, you know. I just think you shouldn't worry. I know people do worry, but you shouldn't worry about other people's attitudes towards you, you know, because it's none of their business, ultimately. Do you run any graphics mods, says Video Pop? I do, yes. We have brutal, realistic graphics and weather. We also have realistic thunder and rain sounds, which is not graphics, it's sounds, but still. And a few other realism things as well. We got 4K trees, which probably don't come across on the stream, but we do have 4K trees. We got realistic lighting, we got volumetric lighting that gives like fog effects and stuff like that. There's quite a few graphical improvements. When we get to the end of the stream, I'll show you the full mod list. But yeah, I've got a few graphical enhancements which hopefully come across on the stream. I'm having twins, a boy and a girl. Any names in mind, says Horselover. Oh, you're putting me on the spot there, Horselover. I don't know. I would say... I don't know. A boy and a girl. The thing is, when you have twins, it's always tempting to give them, like, similar names. But I don't think that's necessarily a good idea. You know, I hate it when twins are called, like... I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head. Like in The Simpsons, there's Sherry and Terry, the two twins. I don't like it. I don't like... I feel like it gives twins... I feel like twins should have their own identity, you know? They are separate people. And I feel like if you're giving them names like Bill and Ben, for example, you're kind of setting them up to always be... like, joined at the hip. You know, I think you should encourage twins to be their own individual people, and I think a big part of that is giving them their own individual names. Game name, the game's Euro Truck Simulator 2. Video Pop says, you know where I'm from? In Australia we have spiders bigger than your hands, huntsman, non-venomous. Yeah, I'm familiar with the big Australian huntsman, and I'm aware that they're very harmless to humans, but I would still be absolutely terrified of them, I have to say. Like I mentioned earlier in the stream, I'm still kind of getting over my arachnophobia. I'm a lot more comfortable around spiders than I used to be. But I'm still not 100% on board with them. I'm still a bit apprehensive. Why don't you do truck driving for a living? I don't want to, Max 8200. As much fun as it is to do in a game, I have never had any intention or desire to do it in real life. I just don't want to. Simple as that. It's not something that I've ever pictured myself doing. Hello, Lagwolf. How are you doing? ProPixel Stream says, should I suggest you the best way to grow your channel consistently, if you don't mind? Feel free, ProPixel Stream. My intention's never really been growth, though, to be honest. I mean, on TikTok, I do want to get to 10k, because then I can take part in the Creator Rewards program, but it's never been a huge concern of mine to just get as big as possible and get as many followers as humanly possible. I've never really had that kind of ambition. Thanks for following, Video Pop. Why don't... Oh, I've already answered that one. What's your dream? Says Max 8200. I mean, my dream is to work in game dev. I have a degree in game design. It's always been one of my ambitions to publish my own games. I've not managed it yet. I've never actually commercially released a game. But that's always been quite high on my list of things that I want to do at some point in my life. I was thinking about Jack and Chloe, says Horselover. I think those are great names, Horselover. Those are two good, solid names. You know, Jack and Chloe. I can see it. I can see two twins called Jack and Chloe. I think that's a very good idea. Like, say, as long as you don't call them something like Saul and Sally, because that's stupid. Don't name your twins like that. Don't call them like Paul and Pauline. then you're good. If you make Alan Wake 3, I'll pre-order it. Says Video Pop. I'm on my way. Nia and Noah. Yeah, no Nia and Noah. No Jack and Jane or anything like that. Jack and Jane could work, but I feel like even the alliteration is too much, to be honest. Anyway, next job, we are going to do... let's do some water tanks. I think these are new. I think these are from the new farm equipment DLC, so we'll give them a go. Have you ever heard of a Twitch channel embedding campaign, says ProPixel? I haven't, ProPixel, but if you're about to advertise something to me, please save your breath. It's gotten really foggy now, by the way, as well. God, I didn't even notice because I've been so busy talking. The visibility has just dropped completely right now. This is another graphics mod, by the way. You won't get this level of low visibility in the base game. This is from the realistic brutal graphics and weather mod. It looks fantastic, I've got to say. Really fantastic. But yeah, very poor visibility, so we're going to have to drive carefully. I need to get the new Nordic map. Haven't played for a year. Oh, I'm looking forward to the Nordic Horizons DLC. Still waiting on an Irish DLC. Where's the Ireland DLC, SCS Software? Come on. You need to get the Moser truck wheel. It rocks. I've got my eye on the Thrustmaster T248. That's probably going to be the next wheel that I get. I've heard good things about the Moser wheel, but truth be told, it's a bit outside of my price range. The Moser wheel that I've got my eye on is about £200. It's less than £200, whereas the Moser, the Thrustmaster, sorry, is less than £200, whereas the Moser one I think is over 500. I'm not quite prepared at this point to fork out that much for a wheel. It would be great one day to get a wheel that expensive, but I'd prefer to get something a bit more budget friendly for my next wheel. Will you do an unboxing video, says Horse? Yeah, if I do end up getting a new wheel, I will definitely do an unboxing stream for it, like I did for the Thrustmaster and the the collector's edition of Farming Sim 25, which had the ignition lock in it. But yeah, the wheel that I've got my eye on at the minute is the Thrustmaster T248. And like I say, I think it's like 170, 180 pounds. Isn't it boring to drive the same truck over and over again? Stream is nice, by the way, says Duke Boo. Thank you, Duke Boo. I just really like this truck. I feel like I'm used to this truck at this point. I think for me, the variety in the game comes from the different cargoes and, driving in different areas and different locations. I just don't really like jumping from truck to truck all the time. I like having this one single truck that I spend most of my time in, and I really love this truck as well. Sorry for scratching my nose, by the way. I really love this truck. I've put a lot of work into customizing it to get it exactly how I like it, and it's I just can't really picture myself driving anything else, to be honest. The radio stations are also great, country-specific channel. They are Video Pup. I do enjoy listening to the radio on when I'm playing on my own. But on stream, I think it'd be just a bit too much of a distraction from the chat, and it'd kind of drown things out a bit. But yeah, I do enjoy the radio as well. What do you think will change the gaming industry? Says Max 8200. I don't know, to be honest, Max. I think change is needed. I think the game design industry at the moment has some very serious structural flaws, but they're so deeply embedded that I don't think change is going to happen anytime soon. I'm talking about stuff like AAA developers, kind of dominating the market, putting out these very, very underdeveloped games, you know, pumping out 3 or 4 major titles a year that are released in an unfinished state, they're unplayable. I hate the fact that it's become so normalized for AAA developers to release unfinished games. We're not talking about, like, just a few bugs here and there. We're talking about games that literally are not finished. It's just become so normalized these days for unfinished games to be released. And I think it's things like that, you know. That's just one problem. There are other problems with the game design industry that I have, but I just feel like right now the game design industry is in a bad place, and it's mostly because of AAA developers. And I don't think we're going to see change anytime soon while these AAA developers are dominating the market, you know. I mean, indie games are still going strong, but over the last few years, the popularity of indie games has decreased. Less people are developing indie games, less people are playing indie games, and I'm a big supporter of indie developers. As an aspiring indie developer myself, you know, I want to give as much love as I can to indie developers, but with the state of the market right now, it's so hard to get to be successful as an indie game developer. Because again, you have these huge AAA studios who are just, you know, they can afford to just throw money at a piece of shit that's not finished and do that 5 times a year, right? So yeah, I think change is needed. I'm not sure how that change would be enacted, but something's got to change. I do think, though, more and more people are starting to wise up to it now. I think the general public is starting to realise that, hang on a minute, these AAA developers are churning out unfinished pieces of shit 5 times a year. I think people are getting more aware of it now, so change is more likely to happen. But yeah, something's got to happen. Something's got to change. Not naming names, EA are shockers at cyclic reskins. That's, yeah, EA, again, not to name names, but EA definitely are guilty of it. They're not the only ones, you know. Activision, Blizzard, Ubisoft, all the big AAA developers are guilty of it to some extent. Again, it gets to a point where you've just got so much money that you can afford to release 5 unfinished games a year, and they really do. Like, I'm not exaggerating. They will churn out 6, 7, 8 games a year that are just quite simply not finished. And it's just become so normalized at this point for that to happen. Again, if you're an indie developer, you're a small development team, or maybe even solo, if you're a single person just developing a game entirely by yourself, you're pouring your heart and soul into that. You're putting so much time and effort into that to make something so beautifully crafted with such heart in it, such passion. And then a major AAA developer comes along and they're just like, here's £3 million, you know, let's make another FIFA. And it's just the exact same FIFA. Somehow it's full of bugs, even though it's the exact same game with a fresh coat of paint. And they'll just churn those out, you know, day after day. It's not good. It's not good. And I don't necessarily think that's just a problem with the game design industry. To be perfectly honest, I think every industry has that to some extent. There's always going to be small businesses struggling to get by while big businesses are just throwing money at the wall. You know, you see it in the game design industry, but you see it in other industries as well. You know, any small business is always going to be struggling to compete with the massive billion-dollar companies. Gotta sleep, catch you around. Thank you, Video Pop. Thank you for joining today. I do hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you've enjoyed the conversation as well. My next stream's going to be Factorio on Thursday, so if you're interested in that, please do come along. Bonjour, ça va, says Chimpsky. How are you doing, Chimpsky? Bien? I don't know. I'm terrible at French. I'll just say bien. I know that means good. Okay. Oh, we're getting tired. Shit. I didn't realise that we needed to sleep. I'm good, thanks. Glad to hear it. Excuse me. God, that rain is loud. Cutest truck driver I've seen. Thank you, Chipsky. I try. This is another new top, by the way. If anyone's been paying attention to my outfits the last few days, I went shopping with my sister the other day, and I bought myself a few new outfits. First time I've really bought myself any new clothes in like a year or two. So I thought I'd treat myself. I thought I'd just go and buy myself a few bits and pieces. So this is new. This shirt that I'm wearing today is new. The one that I was wearing yesterday and the top that I was wearing on Sci-Fi Sunday, that was new as well. It feels good. It feels good to actually be wearing a brand new outfit for the first time in a while. Oh, we've only got one of these. Right. I'm not being funny. Could this not have just been attached to the back of a tractor? Does this really need a truck to deliver it? I'm just saying. Kind of seems like overkill to have this massive low loader for a single slurry spreader. If there were a couple, if there were like 2 of them or 3 of them, I can see it, but is it really necessary for this to be delivered by truck? I don't know. I'm not so sure. What's the game? The game is Euro Truck Simulator 2. Okay, before we get moving, I do need to sleep. There's a rest point just over there. Do you need a high-spec PC for this, says Derbyshire Luke? Nope, not at all, Luke. I first played this on a Lenovo IdeaPad laptop, and it ran very well. Obviously, the better your PC, the better the game's going to run, but it's fairly well optimized for low-end machines. Like I say, I first played this on a laptop. It runs pretty well on any hardware, honestly. Did you install the new Crone Farming DLC? We did, Duke Boot, yes. We haven't actually delivered anything from that DLC today, but I have got the brand new Crone Farming Equipment DLC that just released a couple of days ago. I believe this is from the farming vehicle, the other farming equipment DLC that released a couple of months ago. Not the Crone one, but the unbranded one. I was on stream a few days ago, and someone asked about your clothes. Yeah, people do ask. People do tend to ask a lot of questions about my clothes. But normally the questions are, why are you wearing them? I get far more questions like, why are you wearing a dress? And not enough questions like, where did you get that dress? I appreciate that. Thank you for taking the time to help. No problem, Darmishulin. You had thigh-high socks on driving the tractor. It was just vibes. Oh yeah, I did have my thigh-highs on in Farm Sim Friday this week. Oh, we don't need a service. We need to sleep. They're being insightful and spiteful. You shouldn't respond to them. But it's fun. It's fun, Chimpsky. Honestly, I know I've said it before, but genuinely, I don't mind getting negative comments because, one, usually I get a good laugh out of them, and two, I think with negative comments, it's a lot better to let people show their own character. You know what I mean? Rather than like deleting negative comments and explaining why they're bad, it's a lot easier to just let people show their true colors. You know, so I'd rather just let people get on with it. If you're here to comment negative things, just get on with it. You know, I'll kind of just leave you to it. Were you born male or female? In a nice way, says Ghost. I'm male. Male, Ghost. Says male on my birth certificate. I am male. My sex is male. But I'm transgender, so obviously I identify as a woman, and I have done for the last 4 years. But I won't deny that I am male. That is my sex, but it is not my gender. What headphones are you using, says Nadog? These are the Exa 1000 headphones. They're pretty much the cheapest RGB headphones that you can get. But they're pretty good. They're pretty good. I'm not really a snob when it comes to tech. With a few exceptions, there's a few things where, you know, I prefer to spend a little bit more money to get a brand that I trust. But with most things, like with my headphones, with my microphone, with my keyboard and mouse, the cheap stuff can be just as good as the more expensive stuff. I don't want to spend loads of money on something with a logo on it just because it has a logo on it. You know what I mean? If the cheap stuff does the job, then get the cheap stuff, you know? Are you vegan? I'm not vegan. Dan, no, I don't think I could be vegan. Big respect to all the vegans out there. I couldn't do it. I like cheese too much. I think I could survive as a vegetarian. I think I could get by without meat, but I could not survive without cheese. I love cheese. My first word was cheese. True story. My first word was cheese. I couldn't live without it. Couldn't survive without cheese, says Chimsky. Me neither, honestly. And eggs as well, to be honest. I love eggs. And milk. Like I say, I think I could survive without meat, but I couldn't survive without dairy. I love milk. I love eggs. I love cheese. I definitely couldn't live without those. I mean, you can't beat a good scrambled egg, or a boiled egg, or a fried egg, or an omelette. Really like your British accent. Thank you, Duke Boot. Thank you. I don't get enough compliments on my accent. But maybe that's because I don't have too many viewers outside the UK. I know, Duke Boot, you are watching from outside the UK. I've got a few other international viewers. I don't know if Marika's here right now. But Marika lives over in the States. Yeah, most of my audience is in the UK. But it's always nice to hear from people who are watching from a bit further afield. Let's do a check-in, by the way. We haven't done a check-in in today's stream. Let me know where you are watching from, if you're watching from the UK or elsewhere. Don't be too specific. Don't dox yourself. Just the country is enough. But yeah, let me know where you're watching from today. Lancashire, says Derbyshire Luke. Nice one, Lancashire. Not too far from me. I'm over in York. Yorkshire, not York. I'm in Doncaster. Kent, Stockport, North Wales. Nice one, Taro Fox. UK, says Danny. Netherlands, says Mafijan. Nice one, Mafijan. So what tech do you prefer to spend a bit more on, says Nadog? Good question. I mean, at the minute, I don't really have anything too expensive. I think the Thrustmaster I did spend quite a bit on. This was £60, but which isn't much, but it's, you know, for what it is. It's something that I wanted to get a trusted brand with, and when I upgrade my steering wheel, I also want to get a Thrustmaster, which is, again, a brand that I trust very much. My webcam is a Logitech, and Logitech is another brand that I have a lot of trust in, and I don't mind paying a bit extra for Logitech stuff. But to be quite honest, most of my stuff is quite cheap. Like the headphones are cheap, the microphone is cheap, my keyboard and mouse are cheap. There aren't really too many things where I'll be like, I've got to get a certain brand. Again, for me, the low-end stuff, if it does the job, might as well use it. You're from Yorkshire, says Chimpsky. I am indeed, yes. Originally from Harrogate in North Yorkshire. But I've lived in Doncaster most of my life. I was born in Keighley. Nice one, Chimpsky. I've been to Keighley a couple of times to visit the Keighley and Worth Valley Railway. Wonderful heritage railway in Keighley. Obviously, big fan of heritage railways. I don't think that's any secret from my obsession with trains. But yeah, Keighley and Worth Valley, great heritage railway. Not a PC gamer myself, but know a few, and they'll all argue over their favourite brands. Yeah, I've never understood that. I've never really understood brand loyalty. I understand having a preferred brand. You know, for me personally, I've got quite a lot of Logitech equipment, and whenever I'm buying a new component, I'll look at the Logitech stuff first. But I've never understood this attitude of, like, everything has to be by a certain brand. Like, I won't buy it unless it's got this brand label on it. I've never understood that attitude. If the best thing is some cheap, unbranded thing, then I'll go for that, you know? My surname is By the Sea in Welsh, and I'm still by the sea, says Tara Fox. That's cool, that's cool. I'd love to live by the sea. I mean, you know, I don't live too far from the sea, but it's the UK. Nobody lives too far from the sea. Like, you can't get more than 50 miles away from the sea. But even so, I would love to live a bit closer to the sea. I'd love to live, like, on the coast. Probably the East Coast. Somewhere like Scarborough, Whitby. Oh, Whitby, right, Whitby. That's it. If I could live anywhere in the UK on the coast, Whitby. What a gorgeous place. Absolutely beautiful town. Don't think we've ever moved. That's cool, Taro Fox. We, I mean, to be fair, I've been in Doncaster all my life. When I was born, obviously, in Harrogate, and until I was about 6 months old, we lived in Boroughbridge. But then we moved down to Doncaster. Lived here ever since. We've moved around like from village to village a few times, but we've always been in the Doncaster area. And I can see myself staying here for the foreseeable future. Personally, I've always said that if I could afford it, I'd love to move to Bath, which is where I went to university. I think Bath is an absolutely beautiful city. It's definitely the most beautiful city that I've been to in the UK. But it's a very expensive city to live in. House prices in Bath are astronomical. But if I had the money, I would definitely love to live in Bath. But I like Doncaster. Like I say, this is my home. This is where I was raised. This is where all my family are. I am happy here. I live a 2-minute walk to the beach and a 20-minute drive to Snowdon. That's really cool, Taro Fox. I'd love to live somewhere like that, where you're right next to the beach, but you're also right next to the hills. I do live near the Peak District, which is always great. That's why I visit the Peak District so much, because Doncaster is not too far away from the Peak District. I wouldn't want to live in like a massive urban area, like right in the centre of Birmingham or London or something like that, because I wouldn't want to be too far away from the countryside, you know. I like that the countryside is just on my doorstep. I like that the Peak District is just on my doorstep. We'll go up Snowdon one day for your travels. Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to. Honestly, Taro Fox, if I'm ever over that way, I would genuinely love to do that. I've always said I'd love to do the 3 Peaks Challenge, which is to visit the highest mountains in England, Scotland and Wales. But I want to take it a step further. I want to do the 5 Peaks Challenge. I want to visit the highest peaks in England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. Not in 48 hours. The actual 3 Peaks Challenge is to visit all 3 in 24 hours. I don't want to do that. I just want to visit all 3 of them at some point. But yeah, I'd like to visit the tallest peaks in England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and the Republic of Ireland, and maybe do them in height order as well. I think the smallest is Scafell in England. Then there's Slave Donard in Northern Ireland, Carrunthill in the Republic of Ireland, Snowdon or Irwydfa in Wales, and then Ben Nevis is the tallest in Scotland as well as the tallest in the whole UK. So maybe it'd be cool to try and do them in height order like that and save Ben Nevis till last. But it is definitely something that's always been like on the bucket list, to climb the tallest peaks in each country of the UK and Ireland. I can take you to all the hot spots. Honestly, Taro Fox, if I'm ever over in Wales, I will take you up on that. Dun Aberfalls was far too wet to do Snowdon when I was there. That is a shame, Nadog. I've heard that with Snowdon, the weather kind of makes or breaks it, you know? Because I've heard it's on a good day, it's actually a really easy climb. But on a bad day, it's very difficult. And obviously, it's in Wales. No offence to the Welsh, because it's the same here in England. The weather kind of makes or breaks it. Do you have a job, says Jensen? Right now, I don't have a job, Jensen. I'm currently between jobs. My most recent job was at a print shop. I worked at a print shop in Worksop, doing as a graphic designer, so doing business cards, brochures, posters, stuff like that for local businesses. But at the minute, I'm looking for something a bit more game design oriented. I'd love to eventually be a solo game developer, but at the minute I'm looking to get into the game design industry. That's really where I want to be career-wise. Some less touristy places too, some hidden gems. I do like places that are a bit less touristy. I like places that aren't quite as busy. Thanks for following, full stop. By the way, Taro Fox, have you seen my Peak District documentaries? Because definitely check them out if you haven't. Because I love walking. I've always been really into walking. And with the Peak District being right on my doorstep, it's always just the nearest place to visit. I've been walking in the Yorkshire Dales as well. You know, I've been up to Ilkley and places like that. But the Peak District is very local to me, and it's a place that I have been more times than I can even remember. I've seen them all. I've binged them. Thank you, Taro Fox. That means a lot. That means a lot. Especially since it takes like an hour and a half to binge them, so that's very much appreciated. I think it's probably going to be next year before I do any more, because I really wanted to do one this month, but the weather took a sudden turn. Obviously, Storm Amy battering us all over the country. I think at this point the weather is not going to really improve until the new year. So I'm probably not going to be going back to the Peak District until sort of February, March time. But you can bet your bottom dollar next year I will definitely be going back. There's definitely a lot more walks that I want to do. There'll be a lot more of that Peak District content coming. And I'd also like to venture a bit further afield next year, you know, the Yorkshire Dales, the Yorkshire Moors, maybe even get up to the Lake District or over to Wales. But yeah, definitely more Peak District content will be coming, and possibly some slightly further places as well. Okay, anyway, we have now done our fifth I can't speak. We've now done our 5th job of the day. There's only 10 minutes left, so I don't think we're going to have time for any others, really. Unless there's a really short one. No, it doesn't seem... The shortest job is 138 miles. We don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. So we'll finish up here. I'll take a quick drive to the nearest rest area. There's one just over the road there. There's a petrol station. So we'll just head over there and refuel and have a rest. And then we'll probably end the stream there. Game name. The game is Euro Truck Simulator 2. If you ever want to do Snowdon or Wales for a vid, let me know. I will do, Taro Fox. I honestly... Excuse me. I will... I'll take you up on that. It'd be... Honestly, it'd be great to do, like, walking videos with some of my audience. It'd be great to, like, meet up and do, like, a walking group or whatever and, you know, do a group walk. Maybe something to look into next year. We'll see. Is it free, Reverse Flash? No, it costs £13, I think, at the minute. That's its usual retail price. It is on sale quite often, though. It's normally like £4 when it's on sale, so if you don't want to pay full price, keep an eye out for a sale. Get Marika over, show her Wales is real. Yeah, we got her, Taro Fox. She did say she hasn't been to the UK for a while, and she'd like to get back over here at some point. That's what we'll have to do. We'll have to organise a meet-up. Straight to Rill. Honestly, I'd love to go to Rill just to go to Rill Beach to recreate about 500 episodes of Doctor Who. And even Red Dwarf. There was a Red Dwarf filmed on Rill Beach. I think it was Better Than Life back in series 2. They filmed Paradise on Rill Beach. Yeah, there's a section. If there's any Red Dwarf fans out there, there's a section in the episode Better Than Life where they put on these artificial reality helmets, and they enter like this paradise world. And those scenes were actually filmed at Rill Beach in Wales. Rill greater than California, says Taro Fox. I don't know. I honestly, I've not been to either Rill or California, so I can't possibly make a judgment, I'm afraid. Okay, we are going to have to park across the car spaces because there isn't actually a dedicated truck space here. Oh, the truck space is at the other side. Okay, right. Well, time to make an illegal U-turn then. Hey, Emily Brooks on Twitch. How are you doing? Unfortunately, you've joined us right at the end of the stream. We're going to be finishing up in just a few minutes, but thank you for joining all the same. You can get the train to Rill. You'd love that. Yeah, honestly, if I can get there by train, I'll get there. If the train's an option, I will always take the train. Thank you, Emily Brooks. I mean, you can hear from my Twitch follow sound effect that I am very much a train person. Thanks for following Ben Cooper as well. That's the best option, says Tara Fox. Yeah, honestly. The thing is, because my sister lives in Wales. She lives on the south coast, and whenever she comes to visit me, well, they have a car now, so they always come up in the car now. But she always used to come by coach, because it's the cheapest option. I'm aware that the train is usually the more expensive option, but I just like trains. I just prefer to take the train, you know. I'm a train person. Anyway, that's going to be it for Euro Truck for today. We actually managed to get 5 deliveries done today, which I'm very happy with. So we delivered a fire engine, a slurry spreader, a disc harrow, a autonomous tractor, and a telehandler. Good work, good work. Before we finish, I might quickly show you the mod list as well, just so people can see. Here we go. So we've only got 38 mods active now, compared to 198 in the last stream. We've cut out 160 mods. So we got Promods, we got Promods Europe, Promods Middle East, and Promods The Great Step, as well as the trailer and cabin accessories packs. But then everything else here is from the Steam Workshop. So we got realistic graphics, we got realistic weather, we got realistic vehicle lengths, vehicle lights, realistic train lengths, train sounds, AI traffic sounds, we got real traffic density. So pretty much it's all just like little quality of life things and realism improvements. And then a few cabin accessories. We got Farzel's Cab Cats, we got the Pride flags, stuff like that. But yeah, a much shorter mod list this time. And it's clearly made the game run a lot faster, which I do appreciate. So I think from this point forward, we'll stick with this more cut down mod list. Anyway, that is where we're going to end the game for now. Don't go away, because I'm going to do my usual wrap-up, but the Euro Truck is ending right now. Whew. Okay, let me just pop the chat back in. Ooh. God, I'm getting a bit tired as well, actually. Okay, switching over to the big camera. And let's put on the music. And there we go. So, thank you everyone. Thank you for joining today. I do hope you've enjoyed. It's been a wonderful stream. I've thoroughly enjoyed this one today. We got quite a lot done, quite a few deliveries made. So, all in all, pretty good. I'm getting really washed out by the lights right now. 1 second. There we go. That's a little bit better. But yeah, thank you for joining. I do hope you enjoyed. The next live stream is going to be Factorio on Thursday, and we're also going to be playing Train Simulator on Saturday. So a couple of games coming out this week. I'm sorry for yawning. Once again. I've forgotten what I was going to say now. I yawned and then I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, I was going to say, here's the Game Boy that we built yesterday, just in case anyone missed it. There it is. It's now got pride of place on my shelf there. So that's a wonderful little thing. I'm going to be doing a review video of that in the coming weeks. So if you missed the actual live stream, don't worry. There will be a review video coming out on TikTok and YouTube in the next couple of weeks. In fact, if I just adjust the camera a little bit on TikTok right now. Ooh, there I go. There it is. There you go. You can actually see it on camera now. And there's the creeper as well. The wonderful little creeper that we built back in August. There it is on the shelf. Very happy with it. Very happy with the placement there. So you can actually see it on the stream as well. But yeah, that's it. That's all from me for today. So if you have enjoyed but you haven't already followed, please do. And please do follow and subscribe on Twitch and YouTube as well. If you'd like to get notified about when I stream and when I post videos, or just chat to me generally, then please do consider joining the Discord server. And of course, if you would like to support me financially, please do consider checking out the Patreon. Huge, huge, huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. Thank you very, very much to Kate, Jess, Riley, Danny, P, Charlie, Dan, Amy, and Marika. Thank you all so much. Thank you so, so much. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate your support over on Patreon. There will be obviously some more Patreon content coming in the next couple of weeks. If you'd like to get your name on this board, please do consider checking out my Patreon. It only costs £1 a month. After tax, I think it works out at like £1.20. But you will get your name on this board, you'll get a shout out on stream, you'll get access to behind the scenes content such as bloopers and early access videos, and you'll be supporting me in what I do here on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. So thank you once again to Kate, Jess, Danny, Riley, P, Charlie, Dan, Amy, and Marika for supporting me over on Patreon. Very, very much appreciated. That's it. I'm going to go. As you can probably hear, my voice is starting to go because I've been talking for 3 hours non-stop. So I'm going to go and get a nice drink. I'm going to have some tea. Don't know what I'm having for tea tonight, but I'll think of something. And that's it. I'll see you on Thursday for Factorio. Thank you very, very much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. I do hope you've enjoyed. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, bye-bye. Thank you for the flame heart, by the way, Duke Boot. Last minute gift there. Thank you very, very much. That's it. Bye-bye, everyone. See you later. Oh, hang on, hang on. I've just noticed that I've been live for 2 minutes and for 2 hours and 59 minutes. So I'm gonna just sit here and end the stream on the exactly on the 3 hour mark, because that's the kind of thing I do. So bear with me for just 30 seconds more. Okay, the YouTube stream is about 10 seconds ahead, so I'm going to end that in 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Bye-bye, YouTube. Bye-bye, Twitch.